For the past couple of months, I have been trying to run AI locally on my device, mainly because I want to be able to surface ideas, things, and stuff that I've written in my notes and knowledge that I've been managing for the last 2 years, particularly since I moved to Obsidian. But I've not been able to find a tool that does that pretty well without giving me a lot of technical hiccups. Today, I'm going to show you a new tool that I just found about 14 hours ago that I've just tested. And so far, to my understanding, it seemed to be doing pretty well, exactly what I needed an AI that is local to my device to do. A couple of other softwares running on my app. I have Olama running, I have OpenCode, I have OpenWork, I have anything LLM. I've used LM Studio, I've used GPT for all. All of them were not giving me what I'm looking for. Let's jump right in and then let me show you. By the way, this is going to be a free flow, and this is the software. So the name of the software that I've just found, how many hours ago, is called Hyperlink. That's 15 hours ago that I installed it. Basically, the promise is that it's an on-device AI super assistant. What it does is it's free, it's private, it's offline AI agent that understands your computer files and gives cited answers instantly. So it's more like Perplexity for your files. It is not necessarily like ChatGPT for your files. It's like Perplexity for your files. And that's what I particularly need because for me, I use Obsidian to manage knowledge. And there are quite a number of things that I've written and I've put in my Obsidian vault. And basically, I just want a simpler way to surface them with context. Of course, I can use Obsidian Search, but I wanted a way to go between nodes and be able to find stuff. So now I've uninstalled it, so I'm going to install it fresh now, and you're going to see how it works. So this is the installation. This is the installation here. It says it's going to go to program files, and I'm going to install that. I'm doing this so that you can see how simple it is to set it up. It's going to say run hyperlink, and this is it right here. So let's, you can see this is the only other thing is going to ask you that can you choose a destination folder. Now by default, it's going to put it in the app data on Windows. Now, how do you find app data on Windows? It's want to adjust or you want to change some things later on. You can basically come to app data, you come to users, and then you come to maybe this, and then you find app data, and this is where you find everything. So you find it in roaming right here, hyperlink. You can see this is it right here. Now, why is that important? Because later, if you want to be able to adjust or do anything, you will have to reinstall in order for you to be able to change that. Once you install it, you can't change that anymore. So you can see right now that's where it's saved. I don't have any problem with that because I can easily find that. So I'm going to click on Start Setup. It's going to say default model by Nexa AI. This is the inbuilt model. I can pick a model later, but I'll rather use that model, even though later on I'm going to, in another experiment, I'm going to use a different model. But for now, I'm just going to download and continue. And basically that's all. So let me show you what I'm good at. Hyperlink supports text, markdown files, documents, PDF, PPT files, that's slide presentations. It's private search engine, it's smarter file search, and it's local to your device. So you don't not really need to actually set up any Olama or any other thing that you need to do. This handles all of that for you. And what I'm basically going to do is click on continue. You can see that it's still saying setting up hyperlink here at 20%. So I'm going to wait for that to finish. Okay, now it's about 73% in, and this hyperlink local AI agent for knowledge management basically works this way. So here, this is where you select sources. And sources is basically where you want your queries to pick answers from, which is 100% local. It runs basically on your device. Now here, if you include images, files for extracting text, if you have images in your vault, it's okay. You can include that in the folder you want to use. You can include images. In this case, I really do not want to include images, so I'm going to skip that. And basically, all you need to do is click on Connect Folder. Once you click on connect vault, you go look for where your vault, you're going to look for where your vault is. Now, in this case, I'm simply going to pick this Obsidian local data vault. You can see I have a number of vaults here. I'm going to pick only just this work focus because that's the lightweight vault that I can show you here. And then you basically click that, and it's going to index the 68 items in that vault. Now, why am I using a smaller vault? And this is where I'm going to share my own thoughts on how Hyperlink local AI agent works. When I tried it with a very large vault, a vault that has over 6,000 or 7,000 files, not answering exactly what I wanted it to answer. But when I used a smaller vault, it really did that. And when I say a smaller vault, I'm basically saying when I pointed it to focus on smaller folder, a folder with smaller number of files, it did excellently well. But when I pointed it to a folder that has a larger number of markdown files, it was not doing very fine. And at this point, it says everything is embedded. You can see everything is embedded here. Clippings, meetings, my AI prompts, notes, everything is now embedded. It says model download complete, enter app. It basically goes to the regular user interface that you're familiar with from ChatGPT, from what's the name, from Gemini or even Claude. It basically opens something as simple as this. And how do you use it? Exactly how you will use every other AI tool. This is where you manage sources. You can see you can connect other folders if you have more. And this is where you see it's basically answering from your sources. So if I turn it off, it's going to answer based on what the model has. But if I turn it on, if I click off here, it's going to answer any question I ask will be based on what the model knows. But if I turn it on, it's going to be answering based on what the model can find in my sources. So right now, let's do a test. Now, I'm going to try not to be embarrassed by some of the things that will pop up, but let's just see. So first thing, it says scanning 68 files across the selected sources, which is the local folder, and selecting files relevant to your query. So you can see if you've used Perplexity before, you'll see that this literally is mimicking the same way Perplexity works. So you can see here, it says, what are my queries? You can see it pulled out 4 files here. And it said, based on the context provided, here's a summary of your work priorities in the last 10 days and what your notes say you need to do. 2025. Okay, so it's actually picking a note from 2025. So let me try and course correct a little bit. By the way, you can see that it's an old file. This is 2026. In fact, today is 23rd of 5 and January 2026. Let's see what it's going to say. So I'm trying to point it to focus on December 2025 and January 2026. Let's see if it's going to find anything. Again, just as I mentioned earlier, the larger the fault, somehow the less it's able to see. So you can see now it's going to pull out 2026 files. And it says, based on the context provided, is a summary of your work priorities for December 2025 and January 2026. Sprint planning and a review. All the group planning for P1 items and move them to sprint 40. Schedule a sprint planning for January 6, 2026. Address 14 P1 bugs with the admin dashboard blocked on 4 risk score. You can see how this is working fine here. Basically, how you can expect to work with your Obsidian Vault. Now, this is what I was trying to say earlier, that if I just basically say, okay, I just want to search in my Obsidian Vault. Yes, people, I am aware of Obsidian Copilot. I'm aware of smart connections. I'm aware of other AI tools within Obsidian. Personally, they've not worked for me because for the vault that I was using Obsidian, it's a very large vault, and a lot of times it was not surfacing what I need to surface. So if I say priorities in Obsidians here, you can see if I search priorities in Obsidian, you can see it basically showed me a lot of files. It's not pointing to anything specific. And that's also fine because I can use the word priorities to figure out what I need to do. You can see here it says meeting with Terry. It just points out to everything. It's not even, if you have a vault that is large, you might want to point hyperlink to a specific vault. So that's 57 megabytes. Okay, so let's try Ideaverse. Let's see. If I try idea verse, let me try another one. By the way, you can see that it's syncing, it's embedding that here. Now, while that is going on, let me close and see. You can see it's indexing here. Now, in order to fine tune, by fine tuning, I'm basically saying adjusting the settings and all that. This is where you adjust the settings. Again, you click on these settings here. You click on these and then you adjust all your settings. But the fact that it's working locally, that's first thing that I like there. How I'm going to get it to work perfectly to what I want, that's another thing. But I hope that this video just shows to you that you live and breathe and work with AI. And particularly if you are someone who actually manages knowledge, local AI agent for knowledge management now becomes very important because now with AI, you are able to create net new knowledge that AI is not generating, but it's coming directly from your own knowledge, from the things that you know, from the things that you've written, from the things that you've noted for a while. This is why now is an important time to become someone who makes notes, not somebody who just takes notes. I hope this video is helpful to you. I hope if this works fine, then I'll be able to create more videos like this